Wars, Riots and Reforms. The Napoleonic Wars. In the late 1780s, King George III suffered the first attack of a mental disease, the so-called royal madness. His son George was made Prince Regent in a period known as Regency. Meanwhile, in France, the principles of social equality of the Enlightenment had led to the Revolution in 1789. The French abolished the monarchy and declared their country a republic. The spirit of intellectual rebellion inspired the poets, who shared the enthusiasm and hopes of the Revolution, but became disillusioned by the bloodshed in the Reign of Terror. France declared war on Britain and Holland in 1793. The French proved unbeatable on land due to the skills of a general named Napoleon Bonaparte. By 1797, he had defeated much of Europe and was ruling France as a military dictator. At sea, Britain affirmed its supremacy when the Navy under Admiral Horatio Nelson defeated the French and Spanish off Cape Trafalgar in 1805. On land, the Duke of Wellington led the British Army to victories in Portugal. Napoleon, weakened by his disastrous invasion of Russia, surrendered in 1814. His short-lived return to power for 100 days in 1815 ended in his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. Riots and Reforms. Soldiers and sailors returned home to discover that bad harvests, high taxation and industrial changes were causing misery. Increases in the price of bread led to riots, and in the factories, the so-called Luddites smashed the new machines which had taken their work away. The authorities tried to repress discontent. The combination of working men into trade unions was forbidden. The most serious incident was at St. Peter's Fields in Manchester in 1819, where a peaceful crowd was fired on by the local militia. This massacre was ironically named Peterloo. George IV. When George III died in 1820, his son George IV succeeded him. His extravagant lifestyle and taste for the exotic was reflected in the public buildings of the period, like the Royal Pavilion in Brighton and Regent Street in London. In political affairs, he behaved irresponsibly and did very little to encourage any social reforms. However, in 1824 the associations of workers were legalised, and in 1829 the Home Secretary, Sir Robert Peel, created the Metropolitan Police, known as Bobbies after their founder. William IV. George IV died childless, and his brother became king as William IV. The new Whig Prime Minister, the Earl of Grey, was determined to bring in electoral reform. Despite strong opposition, the Great Reform Act was passed in 1832. It extended the vote to almost all male members of the middle classes and redistributed seats on a more equitable basis in the counties. Two other important acts were passed in 1833. Parliament abolished slavery in the West Indies, and the Factory Act limited factory employment of children under the age of 9. William IV also died childless in 1837, and his 18-year-old niece, Victoria, became Queen.